Hey, I'm John.
I'm Jeff.
Les.
Brady.
Brian.
I'm Randy. We're the Randy Rogers Band, and this is the Texas music scene with my little buddy, Ray Benson.
Welcome back, folks. You know, our Texas legend this time is a guy that was obviously influenced by songwriting icons like Bob Dylan and Guy Clark. And as far as this generation of young Texas musicians goes, there's one songwriter who is also mentioned as a major influence, Mr. Robert Earl Keen.
My goal is to emulate what he's done because he doesn't really have to reinvent himself because he's who he is and he has his sound and every record's gonna be good. Some of them are better than the others, but he's still Robert. And he's just an all-around class act, and in my opinion, he's gonna be Willie Nelson. He already is, in my book. He just doesn't smoke as much pot.
Robert Earl Keen, I think, is the reason that I started writing songs and looking deeper into music. Between he and Jerry Jeff Walker, Robert Earl Keen may be my all-time favorite ever.
Story songs are really hard, or at least for me, to do it and do it well and tell it. You know, you only have what 3.5, 4 minutes to tell a story, and he's able to do it better than anyone else, I think, and able to do it in a way that's impactful. You know, he's not just telling a story, it happens to be like one of the most heartbreaking stories you've ever heard, you know, and he does it in 4 minutes. I mean, that's really hard.
I'm gonna throw out Robert Earl Keen. It was, I think, maybe the first country concert I went to when I was old enough to realize I was at a concert in college, and I bet I bought 7 or 8 copies of Live Diner #2 and just wore them completely out.
Yeah.
So.
Man, he's like the Pope around here. he's awesome. I got to write with Robert for the first time last year. Well, it's been 2 years now, I guess, but I got to go out to his place and we sat down and wrote. Just something we talked about doing for a long time, and we finally ended up getting it together. But that was one of the most, you know, just best learning experiences that I've ever had, writing with somebody, because he's just so good at it. And just, you know, we sat there and it took us about 2 hours to come up with this tune, but you know, just getting to watch him do what he does, you know, as a songwriter, it was like getting to, you know, a pitching lesson from Don Gibson or something, you know. It was like pretty incredible. It was a really fun experience to be able to write a song with him. And over the years, he's been great to the band. We've gotten to tour with him a whole bunch, and he managed us for a couple of years, actually. Him and his wife, Kathleen, managed us for 2 or 3 years when we first got to town and really helped us out. And he's been a great friend of the band.
You know, like when I started really starting the band back in college, it was Robert Earl Keen. I mean, we were like a Robert Earl Keen cover band. I know so many kids say that now, you know, it's kind of like the cool thing to say. But I think for a long time there, Robert Earl was not as... People were forgetting him. They were overlooking him. They were looking on to Pat and Jack and Corey and whoever else was big at that time, you know, and I think they were overlooking Robert. And, you know, in my opinion, he's the one who started this whole thing. He was doing this before anybody in this scene is concerned, the younger generation.